express yourself.
Welcome back. Prince Louis stole the show once again this weekend with his facial expressions. Which Louis are you this morning? People are asking. Which one sums up your mood best of a Tuesday morning? I think I'm all of them, to be honest. Staying with the royal family, the official coronation portraits have been released. The photos were taken in Buckingham Palace after the ceremony on Saturday, when everybody can sort of breathe a sigh of relief. Well, royal editors Roya Nikkhah and Victoria Richards join me now. The new lineup, Roya, has had a little bit of people have said, oh, hang on a minute, this looks quite fuddy-duddy, was the word I heard, which is maybe a bit unfair. What do you think?
It's not a young lineup.
No.
But I think it shows who the king feels he can depend on and rely on. These are the workhorses of the royal family. These are all the working royals, apart from Tim Lawrence, Princess Anne's husband, who's a huge support to her. I think... personally, I think it might have been an idea to include the children.
I think this should have been George.
Yeah,
definitely. Don't you?
They have been taken,
so.
And I suspect we may see those pictures in the coming days.
Because that's the sort of continuity that they want to show. And you know what? If you're talking about people having a go at them for being older, that's okay.
That's fine.
You know, I mean, I've found the past sort of week, we were talking to Lady Glenconner, who's almost 91 and amazing. I was working with Mary Berry at the weekend, who's a goddess. You know, and it's all people in their 80s and 90s. They've got wisdom, they've got all sorts of things going for them.
I think Charles is keen to convey all of that, and what he wants to sort of show with this photograph is these are the people who support me. You might not know who they are, but these are the real workhorses carrying out all the engagements
They're all
every year.
doing it sort of under the radar. They're doing all this sort of non-glamorous stuff, like opening ball bearing factories and things like that. That's, well, not anymore, but you know what I mean. He issued a statement, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
It was a lovely statement saying, basically thanking everyone who'd helped put the coronation together, thanking all the public for their well wishes. And there was an interesting phrase he used. He said, we rededicate ourselves. And I thought that's interesting. That's the same word the Queen used in her Accession Day memorial speech last year, where she was starting her Platinum Jubilee, and she said, at this moment, I pledge to rededicate myself in service to you. And I thought it was interesting that he was evoking back to his mother, basically saying, you know, you had her for 70 years and I'm going to do my best for as long as I can.
Right. And there was a tribute to the Queen, wasn't there? As they always do with pieces of jewellery.
Yes.
That seems to be the way they do it, isn't it?
Kate's necklace in this photograph was a special necklace that King George VI commissioned for the then Princess Elizabeth in 1950. So she's wearing Diana's earrings and the Queen's necklace, so paying a tribute to all these important women.
And of course, Victoria, no Prince Harry, that was never going to happen. Obviously, no Andrew. Of course not. That wasn't going to be happening, was it?
We knew it wasn't going to be happening, but it's still glaring. They're still notable in their absence, I think. And I guess it just sort of solidifies the fact that there is no place for them in the working royal family. But it's interesting because it's still a family. It's the royal family. You know, I know we call them the firm. Of course we do. It's an establishment, but it really draws a line under.
It's a shame, isn't
them
it?
Teetering at the edges, doesn't it?
It's such a shame. It would have been great to have seen the kids. You know, if Harry and Meghan had been there with their children, because they're never going to meet their cousins. Well, I hope they will at some point, for goodness' sake, because otherwise they're a teeny tiny family. They really are. And he did look, I don't know. Awkward, right? The word is awkward. It's difficult. It's difficult. And he bounced out as soon as he could.
Yeah, and there's an argument to say, it would have been lovely to see Meghan and the kids there and to see them bonded, to see sort of some kind of show of making amends to the wider family. But personally, maybe other people share this view, I can completely understand why that didn't happen, why they chose not to do that. Because, you know, it's a bit like with the Queen's funeral. Meghan was there looking perfectly composed, behaving impeccably, yet the entire conversation was about Meghan. So they're damned if they do, damned if they don't.
Yeah, that's what it's like at the moment. It really is. Interesting at the weekend, the ghostwriter of the book, Spare, which caused all the problems in the first place, he's been talking out, hasn't he? And he's been talking about problems that he had working with Harry. But I guess that's what happens when you're a ghostwriter.
It's interesting. J.L. Moringa has given quite an interesting interview to the New Yorker, and he's spoken about some of the tussles that he had with Harry over what to include and what not to include. And he's described this a moment where Harry tells him about how he was undergoing interrogation from the army to see if he was captured in war, how he would do. And someone mentioned something about Diana, and he held himself together, but just felt absolutely furious, and he wanted to include it. J.L. Moringa didn't want him to include it. He's the expert here. And they had a real to-do about it, and then Harry backed down. But the overwhelming feeling from his interview he's given about the book is actually they got on really well.
Yeah.
And he goes into detail about how delighted Harry was with the result.
Really? He's got no regrets at all?
How pleased he is to have his truth out there.
Wow.
And he also talks about the fact that soon after the book came out, he was hounded by paparazzi and followed when he was...
The writer?
Yes, the writer. And so he says that gave me an idea, you know, a glimpse into Harry's world.
He also said, Victoria, that Meghan was very kind to him. You know, made him tea, looked after him, made sure that he was all right. Is there a wee bit of you that feels a bit sorry for him this weekend? For the whole thing? What do you think?
Well, when you asked me that just then, my immediate thought actually was that doesn't surprise me. You know, Meghan is portrayed as this Machiavellian, sort of evil, bad fairy. But I'm not surprised to hear that report, that that's not true, that it is, you know, they've been turned into this sort of pantomime villain couple, and I'm sure there's nothing further from the truth.
No, it's that thing, isn't it? Everybody gets their assigned roles. Like we were talking about little Prince Louis earlier on. He's now, whether he likes it or not, he's the family kind of clown, and I mean that in this sort of, I don't mean that a clown is an idiot, but that's where it's used. But he's kind of like the cheeky chappy, and he's going to have that round his neck for the rest of his life, probably, which is a great shame. You know, when you think about it, you're assigned a role and that's what you play. What do you think?
I think Louis will have time to make his mark in other ways. I don't think he's going to be the court jester, don't worry, he's fine.
No, do you think he's going to be all right? Because that's the kind of thing. And this, again, this was good yesterday, to see them all out and about, and there we are. So after, I mean, I must admit, watching it, and I enjoyed watching it, but watching it, it looked to me like they couldn't wait to get those crowns off, to get their slippers on, and to sit and watch a soap with beans on toast.
I thought this was very clever. I mean, Louis is now an official working royal. This was his first ever engagement.
God, at the age of 5.
And what William and Kate did quite cleverly was take him along to something quite fun that probably didn't feel like work, where he was digging and hand painting and doing archery.
So it's like, not like an engagement.
Well, he probably thought, if this is royal work, sign me up.
Yeah.
It's quite
and
fun.
He's got a little nickname. Kate, let that slip. Let's listen.
I tell you what, you can put that in the fan.
Let me hear it again.
I tell you what, you can put that in the fan.
Was she Lubug, did you say?
Lubugs, yeah.
Lubugs. We all give our kids names. Look at that face, it's great. Thank you both. Is that kind of now, that's that, and they just all get on with their lives now? There's...
Fingers crossed, Lorraine.
No more scandal, no more drama, no more nonsense, I hope so. I think we can just get on with it.
And we can get on with ours.
Yes, exactly. Thank you both very, very much. Right, we are in Hollywood after the break, catching up with Jane Fonda, no less, revealing the career advice that she got from Katharine Hepburn, there's a legend. And from spring skirts to jackets, Louise is back with looks from just under